Story 1. My boss refused to promote me or give me reasonable raises. So I developed skills on the company dime that got me over a 100% raise at another company. Early in my career, I worked as an engineer for a defense contractor for about 4 years, getting my typical 2 to 4% raises and standard promotions that take years and years to qualify for. I realized that in my current role, I was pretty much maxed out for the foreseeable future and would be scraping by for years more. So I tried to get on the management track and got given a project engineer position to prove myself. I managed a team of 4 engineers, a designer, and 2 admins, and we designed and manufactured a system that made $1.6 million in sales in our first year of work. We got the company a patent and were nominated by the USAF and became finalists as DoD Contractor Technical Team of the Year. I don't recall the exact wording. And were flown to D.C. for a big award ceremony. I spent 100 days away from my family that year, traveling to test locations, customers, vendors, etc. It was brutal, but we were wildly successful. When annual performance reviews came in mind was October 10th. I was thrilled that I found out one of NY team members, who had a different manager, was promoted early to a senior position, and that I did not, and I just got the standard 3% raise again. I was livid. I had a meeting with my boss, and his response was that he didn't think my team member deserved a promotion or a big raise, but he wasn't their boss, so basically I should try real hard again, and we'll see next year. Fuck that. I basically quiet quit and just barely worked my 40 hours and went home. I never traveled unless I really wanted to. I never stayed late. I took almost every Friday off to burn through my leave. I took all my sick days, etc. My mental health was much better. The only thing I really did extra was take advantage of the education budget our group had, but rarely got used. My previously promoted coworker, who I really liked personally, started taking MBA evening classes that the company reimbursed him for, but they came with obligations to stay there for X amount of years. They also had a nice budget for software training without such stipulations, so we both signed up for FEA and 3D modeling classes. We traveled around together taking these classes and building our resumes. About a month after classes were finished, I secretly started applying for jobs that required those specific skills and quickly got hired for a position with a base annual income that was 200% my existing rate plus paid overtime. I put in my notice and my boss was really upset. The following dialogue ensued. Boss, we just paid for you to travel all over to learn these new skills that we need. Don't you have any loyalty or guilt? How much are they paying you? Let's see if we can match it. Me, double? Boss, that's more than I make. It was, and with OT, I made about 3 times more the following year for a competitor. Life-changing good times. Story 2. Ruin my big 4th of July laser show? Okay then, just wait till Christmas. I will freely admit, our neighborhood Karen has been living rent-free in my head since the 4th of July. Last November, I took up a new hobby. My entire life, I've been fascinated by laser shows, and I dreamed of working with lasers firsthand someday. After a personal tragedy early last year when I lost a loved one, my whole outlook on life changed, and I said, to heck with it. I may not have tomorrow. I'm doing this. So I threw myself head first into learning all about laser projection, and in particular, my favorite type of laser show animation. After getting my feet wet and getting my laser safety officer certification, I decided I'd put on a little display at the neighborhood 4th of July block party. Somehow, between November 2024 and July 2025, my little display turned into about $30,000 worth of equipment and software, and my 4th of July show became an event that I ended up advertising around town. Ultimately, I had a couple hundred people show up to check out that night. In years past, the neighborhood Karen has shown herself to be a truly nasty woman. Amidst a crowd of children and parents, she verbally assaulted a number of neighbors at the block party because where she's from, they don't allow this kind of dollarage. Hashtag, referring to fireworks. She's a California transplant, now living in Tennessee. The string of profanity wouldn't have been a big deal, but there were kids playing everywhere. Up until she came outside, it was a happy, joyous celebration. Our whole neighborhood is very tightly knit. We know each other's children and pets. We hang out together in the street when the weather is nice. It's quite remarkable. Well, it was my first year doing the laser event, and I underestimated the heat and the setup time. As it turns out, it takes more than 3 hours for 2 people to set up $30,000 worth of gear. Add heat exhaustion into the mix, and the show that was supposed to begin at 9:30 finally began around 11. Keep in mind July 4th was on a Friday night this year. It's not like anyone had worked the next day. Leading up to the event, I knew that our Karen was going to do anything in her power to shut down my show. So I went out of my way to make sure everything was in order. First of all, I got all the necessary variances, the federal okay to do public laser shows. I made sure all my equipment was variants as well. Then, I spent time with city council members and aldermen, sharing with them my plan and letting them know what we were doing, and even inviting them to attend. I also called our local police department, spoke with the police chief about my plan, and let him know that he could expect a phone call that night from the one lady on the street who did want us to have a good time. The police department was not only supportive, but enthusiastic about my doing something out of the ordinary like a public laser show. All in all, I estimate I put about 600 hours of work into a 34-minute show. I had an incredible amount of fun putting it all together, and I was excited to share my new obsession with our tightly knit neighborhood. Admittedly, it was late, but amazingly, the crowd stuck around. Everything was going smoothly until about halfway through the show. A police car pulls up. The officers knew what was going on, of course. They stood there for a few minutes taking it in, seemingly enjoying the show. Finally, one of them came over to the laser table where I was operating the show and asked me to turn the music down. I immediately obliged and thanked him for the warning. 5 minutes later, he came back over and said, "How much longer do you have? I'm supposed to shut you down." At that point, I had about 20 minutes left. The officers walked away and discussed things, and 5 minutes later came back and said, "I'm sorry, sir, but I need you to shut it down. A resident in the neighborhood has complained about the noise, even after you turned it down for us." I pointed to her house and said, "Oh, I know who it was." There were later incidents where her adult son went keyboard warrior on the admins of our neighborhood group. I'm not typically someone to be so petty, but the whole thing really got under my skin, especially considering how much work I had put into the show. Money aside, I was proud of what I had put together, and I wasn't able to show it the way it was intended to be shown. And one of my other hobbies, producing music in my home studio. I had written a song about the whole thing as a joke, retelling the story of the events of the 4th. I had only planned on sharing it with a few friends on my street, and we'd all have a good laugh. As I began recording the song, I decided I'd play with AI for the first time to see how quickly I could throw together my idea. Having never worked with AI music before, I was blown away. It had taken my idea, multiplied it by 1,000,000, and gave me back something far better than I could have ever done on my own. I pulled the stems, added some of my own production to the tracks, and as I was nearly finished, inspiration struck. I quickly reworked the lyrics to give them a Christmas theme and decided I would have featured the song in my next laser animation show. Yes, my next laser show. You know, the one that will run every half hour, every Friday and Saturday night between Thanksgiving and Christmas. She won't let me finish my one big show on the 4th of July. Well, how about I run the Christmas show in MY Front Yard with an FM transmitter for the sound so people can listen quietly in their cars? Every half hour between 7 and 10, 12 shows per weekend, 6 weekends between Thanksgiving and New Year. Yes, Karen, my song about you and the laser animation that accompanies it will now run 72 times. TLDR, Karen shuts down my summer laser show, so I create a snarky song about her in the event and fictionalize her as the Grinch. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more Reddit videos.